Hey there, Gemini. This is your ascendant forecast for the week ahead, going from Monday, the 22nd of December, right the way through to Sunday, the 28th of December, 2025. Now, if you can remember the week before, we had quite a lot going on with Mars changing signs, the sun going into the sign of Capricorn, starting off the next season. We also had that really potent new moon in Sagittarius in a conjunction with the galactic center. In this week ahead, we're taking our foot off the gas a little bit, so it's not so fast paced. We have a sobering and more responsible feeling coming in. We've got Venus moving into the sign of Capricorn, which is going to slow things down a little bit. We'll be relating to people with less high emotions and connecting with people at a much calmer level. We've also got just two exact planetary alignments that I think are worthy of discussion. We've got a square between Venus and Neptune, and we've also got Mercury in a trine with Chiron. So that's what I'm going to do, is pace you through this week ahead, looking at all the planetary weather and hopefully giving you a really useful heads up for the week ahead. So anyway, if you're new here, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. And as ever, I'm just going to say a quick thank you to everybody that supports this channel in all the various ways. It really helps me. So thank you very much. And these are the two charts I'm looking at. This is the first one. This is the chart for Monday, the 22nd at midnight in London. That's the midpoint across all time zones. That's why I've set it for here. And you'll see that the moon is in the tail end of Capricorn. And then as we come to the end of the week, the moon has moved to the sign of Aries. Is exactly in a conjunction with Chiron. And you'll notice as well that at the start of the week, you've got the moon, Mars, and the sun in the sign of Capricorn. By the end of the week, you've got Mars, the sun, and Capricorn all together. So yeah, there's a very sort of strong Capricorn presence here. So let's have a bit of a deeper look. Now, if when you look at your birth chart, you see that you've got Gemini, the symbol for Gemini in this first house area, that's great. But if when you look, you see the symbol for Gemini and Cancer in this first section, that's an indication that you'd also find the Cancer forecast helpful for this week ahead as well. You see, what I'm using here is a Western whole sign tropical model to be able to talk about where all the planets are from a Gemini ascendant perspective. But you also have a bit of the Cancerian ascendant perspective going on there as well. So anyway, you see there's not that much listed here. Venus going into the sign of Capricorn is obviously important. That's on Wednesday, the 24th. But apart from that, I'm really just talking about the movement of the moon and my two special aspects of this week ahead. So anyway, as we go into this this week ahead on Monday, one of the things that's happening is the moon is going into a trine with Uranus and then going into Aquarius and making a conjunction with Pluto. Now, this is a very dynamic, possibly enlivening aspect. It's likely to bring up a lot of conscious decisions, a feeling of sudden knowing. You know, Uranus has been in your 12th house for quite some time. You've really learnt to hone your intuition, you know, and the moon coming into a trine with that is very, very powerful. But when the moon comes into a conjunction with Pluto, and they both trine Uranus at the same time, this is very strong. So, you know, the moon is coming into the 9th house, and, you know, the 9th house is a place where you go to understand things at a much deeper level, you know, and Pluto here is really showing your need to have a powerful understanding of how the world works. You know, religion, philosophy, spirituality. You might want to understand the actual physical world. You might want to go on tours and go and live somewhere else and meet people from different cultures. But that feeling of, you know, the powerful need to understand the world and what it means to your psyche is a really strong position to go into at the beginning of the week. So Monday is really setting it off on a very sort of cosmic route. You know, it's absolutely cosmic as hell. And then the moon is going to go like as the moon is going through Aquarius on Wednesday the 24th. We've got Venus going into an exact square with Neptune. Now, you might have remembered me saying this before if you've been here before, but these are all the dates of when like Venus is exactly square Neptune and Mercury is exactly trine Chiron. In reality, they've been coming into that square or trine for a good 5 days. And then after this exact point, they will fade out of it. But it's at its most potent on the 24th and on the 28th. So on the 24th, what's really potent is this very strong feeling of longing or nostalgia for how things used to be or how things should be. Neptune and Venus, what they share is they are both harmonics of love. So Venus is very much terrestrial, earthly, bodily love, whereas Neptune is cosmic, ethereal, spiritual love. And the two of them in a square is showing the frustration in recognizing the reality that never the two shall meet. That you can love somebody in a really earthly way. And is it actually possible to be able to love people unconditionally here on this plane? It feels like it is, but is it? And can you hold on to it? And then, Neptune is showing this idea of perfection, this perfect love, this perfect knowledge of how it should be. And it rests like an ideal, and we're kind of frustrated. And so there is, I think, a dissolving of expectations going on with these two. Neptune's a great dissolver. He dilutes things, and the boundaries of our concerns get a little bit fuzzy, a bit confused. But he's really working Venus hard here, and Venus is still in the 7th house to do with relationships. She's seen as being quite helpful being in the 7th house because she's helping you relate to partners at a much more sincere and genuine and generous and attractive level. And yet this square and with Neptune so high up in our charts in the 10th house, it's almost showing that you are aspiring to a really pure and beautiful love, and yet you realize, oh God, the reality of it's just not possible. And so the rose colored fog, I guess it is a bit like that. It's dreamy, it's idealistic. Now, something else that may well come up is this having given too much in your relationships. You might feel a bit of a victim. You might be holding on to illusions about your partner and what your role in their life is. And so I guess there is this need for clarity as well, and to know who owns what in your relationship, who's responsible for this, where are the edges. It just feels like everything's blurred lines. So it can be a little bit frustrating. Really what it's showing is an integration in your relationship. There is a change, and it's necessary so that you take those foggy rose tinted glasses off and get to see the reality of love and fall in love with real love, And of course, straight after, Venus is going into Capricorn. So, when she gets into the 8th house, she is going to want to delve in much deeper, be very, very practical, get things done. So to me, it feels like Venus has gone on a journey of getting excited about love, romantic about love, going overboard about love. And then when Venus goes into Capricorn, feels like, okay, that's enough. Now let's get back to this real everyday love and understand it as deeply as we can. Let's be practical about the potentials of love. Venus in the 8th house, I think, can show where we're going into a time of counseling or coaching. I remember my first big relationship, and it ended after months of going to see a counselor, but at least we were sort of committed to going and talking it through and trying to get an understanding of what happens. And Venus coming into Capricorn is that sobering time, where we're grown up. We realize that relationships don't always work out, and sometimes we do have to have boundaries, and sometimes the responsible, loving response might not be to hold on to the dream. It might be to recognize I've got in my head, like, Don't Dream It's Over by Crowded House. There's that idealistic view, and yet Venus going into Capricorn might be saying, well, actually I can see it really clearly now. This is really possible, and maybe I can live in that possibility, but I must stop over dreaming. I must stop over promising to myself, because it's actually quite harmful. So there's a lot to think about there. And then the next day, talking about Neptune's all, he's one of the rulers of Pisces. But on the 25th, which is Thursday, we've got the moon coming into the sign of Pisces at the top of the chart. Now, your emotions are absolutely highly visible here. So if you're feeling upset, if you're still adjusting to things going on in your romantic life, you might want to step out of the limelight a little bit, step away from work, not be so visible. The worst thing you could do on this Thursday night. Oh, and of course, this is Christmas Day as well. Do you know what? I've read so many of these forecasts and not wished anyone happy Christmas. I need to write that on my notes. Whoops. Picked up a pen that doesn't have a lead in it. Draw some holly. Okay, I've got it. It's Christmas Day. So on Christmas Day, I need to include this in, don't I? So around Christmas Day, things are really close. Like our emotions are really, really close. Your emotions, especially, with the moon in Pisces, first of all, which is very emotional and connected and tearful. But having the moon in the 10th house means that whatever you're feeling, people see it a mile off. You can't hide it. So you might want to consider what you want people to see about yourself. Because things are just heightened around this time. Now, if you really trust your family or trust the people around you that you're spending Christmas Day with, then this could actually be quite helpful. This could be a beautiful release. It could be a time when you feel genuinely supported and genuinely loved, which I think is going to be great. As we come into the 27th, which is Saturday, the moon is heading into Aries. But just before Saturday, it's worth also just saying on Friday the 26th, we've got this energy. Is it Friday the 26th? Yes, it is. Friday the 26th, the moon is going to come into a conjunction with Neptune and Saturn, and at the same time come into a square with Mercury. So I do think, sort of after Christmas, there's a lot of lamenting going on. There's a lot of processing things, especially if you're spending the holidays with family. I think, when we spend time with people around us, it brings up a lot of stuff that's unresolved, a lot of things that have been playing on our mind. I've been researching my ancestry recently, and I made a new connection with, hello cousin, if you're watching. So I've got a new cousin who's not actually a cousin. He's like he's on a completely different side of the family, but he feels like a cousin. And, speaking to my real cousins, my aunties, and sort of connecting all the dots on our ancestry and learning more about my family, I realize there's so much that's been stirred in me. There's this little girl feeling in me, related back to old times. And, we're able to close the door on a lot of things because we move away, we get on, we grow up, we have jobs, and we fall in love with people outside of our family, and we start to forget. But when you dive back into that family situation again, stuff gets churned. And so that's what's happening later on the 26th. As we're coming into the 27th, that is Saturday, and the moon heads into the sign of Aries. And then on Sunday, so I should say Saturday should be quite lively. It's highlighting this part of your chart that's great for friendships, great for hanging out, great for creating ideas together. I think it's going to feel quite fun. But towards the end of Sunday, the moon is coming into a conjunction with Chiron that can bring up this very tender and vulnerable feeling, where you're happy to share your thoughts with people. And the moon and Chiron are in an exact trine with Mercury. Now, this, I think, is about healing conversations. This is giving you a sense of gentle breakthroughs, especially with your partner, especially if you've got partner and stepchildren. Stepchildren show up here. These are your partner's children. If there's something to heal about, sort of in-laws and blended families, this could be a really, really great time when there's some significant breakthroughs where old wounds can turn into wisdom, and where you can get some relief and insight. So over the course of this week, I really think that you're on a fast track love your way into better relationships course, which you didn't know that you'd signed up for, but it just turns out you have. And then as you end this week, I think there's this feeling of gratitude for the people who've shown up to help you learn the things you've learned. So quite an involved one. I hope this has been helpful to you in understanding this. If you like these forecasts and would like more of them, my community is a free space that you can join. It's on school.com. All the details are below, or you can even scan the QR code above my face and join that way. There's a mobile app for school.com. But yeah, join me there. You can get weekly love forecasts, weekly career, money, and ambition forecasts, also a daily look at what's coming up, where I'm looking at all the different moon positions as well, and so much more. So join me there. I hope you have a beautiful Christmas week. And I do think this is clearing the path to the new year. So I'll catch up with you real soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.